And joining me right now, the head football coach of the Lynnwood Royals, Keauntea Bankhead. Coach Bankhead, Lynnwood versus Ballard tonight.
Right.
Boy, I seem to remember about 15 plus years ago, give or take.
About right. Sounds about right.
there was a pretty good football player. They had a 5-star recruit back in the day, and I think I'm sitting across from him right now. You are going tonight against your alma mater. What is that like for you?
It's fun. You know, Ross Humphreys, their new head coach. He's a great guy, and he was over at Blanchette for a while. And I used to call him and ask him, you know, for opinions on, you know, when I got the Lynnwood job, and he's done a great job. And he's really a football technician, and I know they're going to be ready for tonight's game, and it's exciting because I went there, and a lot of people don't know, but this past spring they actually offered me that job. And I've just been so happy with Lynnwood. You know, I kind of, you know, respectfully declined it. And so what happened was they called, you know, Rob McMahon's our AD and said, well, since we can't have, you know, Bankhead as a coach, can we at least play you guys? And so that's how that game came about. But for me, it's a big game. They have a couple assistants that played on that same team as well, along with Ross, Jerome Williams, Nick Thornton-Jack, Dan DeLong he was actually our coach. He actually coached us during that season we went to the championship. So it's a big game for me, and I'm excited, and I definitely want to come out with the victory.
You know, we want to talk a lot about Lynnwood football, but we should probably revisit that a little bit. You not only played for Ballard, you took them to I shouldn't say you alone, but your teammates, you took them to a state championship game.
Right.
We were talking about that a little off air a few minutes ago. Tell me about that experience and what kind of memories you have from the days at Ballard.
It's nothing but good memories. You know, Doug Trainer, who's over at Everett now, he was the head coach, and he was my coach for 4 years. So it was a great experience. Until this day, I still remember, you know, each game and how that whole season went, and I can remember just how hard we worked to get there. And so as a coach, that's all I'm trying to do is install that into my players now. But just being able to experience that as a football player, as a high school football player, is something you'll remember forever. And just to be able to go against those guys, it's gonna be a fun experience because of knowing where we learned the game from. So we're gonna have similarities in our coaching styles and things like that. As of, you know, playing Doug last year against Everett, it was fun because I could see the things he taught me and what he's trying to do at Everett, and it was just a fun game. And, you know, just being able to have a group of guys to play with that love the game, that was passionate about the game, it makes it funner, you know, and always, you know, winning is always fun, you know, and being able to go through that transition as a player, you know, a high school player, that road to the state championship, I'll never forget that time, you know, in my life. I remember more high school days than playing in college. And so that's just a period of time in my life that is just memorable.
And not to bring up a bad memory, but you and I were talking a few minutes ago too,
Right.
and for those Ballard folks that are out watching us tonight, Keauntea hasn't forgotten that state championship game either. You said that never leaves you. A 14-7 loss to Pasco, right?
To Pasco, yeah. I think about it every day. Every day, at least once or twice. I think, and I'm like, what could I have done differently? Or if I just maybe cut this way or cut a different way or caught this pass or if we ran this play. A lot goes through my mind about that game almost every day. And, you know, it may seem bad, but in reality, you know, a lot of people don't get to experience that. And so I just take it, you know, and I cherish it that we even made it that far to play in the Tacoma Dome, because that's every high school player's goal is, you know, to play in the Tacoma Dome for a state championship. And I was able to do that. You know, whether we came out with the victory or not, I'll still remember it, and I just take the good, you know, with the bad. So.
Sure. Now, that's the Ballard football team from way back when.
2003.
2003.
Yeah.
We now move forward to Lynnwood 2015-2016.
Right.
Royals last year with their first winning season since 1999.
Right.
6 wins and 4 losses, and now you're looking to build upon that. We need to talk about this team coming up.
Right.
No, I don't mean to put any pressure on you, but
Yeah.
I, for one, am predicting Lynnwood to possibly win this division this year.
That's the goal.
That is the goal. And now it's kind of interesting because this is a team that, a group of seniors who, when they came in as freshmen 3 years ago, ran the table,
Right.
And everybody started kind of buzzing about how look out for these guys in a couple years and really look out for them in 2016.
Right.
And now here we are getting ready for the season opener. And I think the guy we have to talk about first is your quarterback.
Right.
Alton Hammond, all Wesco last year. Tell me a little bit about your quarterback, not only what he does well, but also maybe some of the things he's been working on in the offseason.
I think more for him, being a quarterback, well, let's just go back a little bit. He broke his leg his sophomore year, so he really only played in maybe 3.5 games. And so last year was really his first varsity season that he played, and playing quarterback at that. So he didn't have much experience going into last season. So how successful he was last season, it was impressive to me because he really had no experience. We've been getting him extra training. He's been going to some camps, learning from some older guys that played the game. So really for us, we wanted him to work on his mechanics as a quarterback, staying in the pocket, standing tall, throwing the ball, turning his shoulders towards his target, things in that nature. The rest, he kind of does on his own.
Sure.
As far as running the ball, he's naturally a running back. So he creates plays for us with his feet. And, so we really wanted him to work on his mechanics as a quarterback. And that way he will be successful in that department. Running the ball, he's naturally, he's just gifted, and that's a talent that he has that you can't coach that. And so, we're fortunate to have him. He's been working hard. He's been leading this team and getting everybody on board, to achieve this one goal we have, and that's, making the playoffs this year. And so he's been doing a good job with that and just leading the team and bettering himself so that, he can make the team better. So he's definitely somebody you want to keep your eyes on, man.
Definitely. Now, as a coach, do you get concerned when you see him take off running? I know you mentioned he definitely has running back characteristics.
Right.
Unlike a Russell Wilson who, when he gets a few yards down the field, he looks to slide. Hammond looks to put his shoulder down sometimes.
Yeah.
I mean, do you get a little nervous when you see that? What do you tell him as a coach?
Every time he runs, I take a deep breath. I take a deep breath because he's competitive, and he's going to lower his shoulder like a running back. And, he's not a small kid, so it's tough to bring him down, and he knows that. So he's looking to punish guys. And so we have to remind him, when you're a quarterback, don't take unnecessary hits, but at the same time, we kind of want him to, do his thing. So
sure,
we don't monitor it too much, but definitely when he takes off the run, I think everybody on the coaching staff takes a deep breath, like, all right, is he getting up? All right, we're good. Get the next play.
Ready for the next play, absolutely. Now, as a coach, you want your quarterback to be well protected.
Right.
You have a nice luxury. You're bringing back most of your line from last year, and a few guys in particular that were all Wesco type of players. Tell me a little bit about that line and what that's looking like right now.
So we're bringing back 4 returning linemen, Jacob Laban, Aaron Gaines, and Harris Cuddick, and Nathan Junkin. There are 4 starters that played last year, and they're all returning in. So I'm fortunate to have these guys up front blocking for Alton. And Harris Cuddick, I believe, was first team, and I believe he was first or second team last year also. So. And if you watch his film, I watched it a few times, and I couldn't really see what he was doing. But when you watch film, he's pancaking guys, man. He's out there working, and he kind of sets the tone for that offensive line. And then we got Jacob Laban. He's our center, and he's grown a lot. He's probably 290, about 6'4" now. Good feet, quick. And he's very vocal. He gets emotional, which I like. And he's also a leader with Harris, and so they kind of work together. And so you got Aaron Gaines and then Nathan Junkin that we throw in with those guys, and they're a complete package, and they're smart. They're all smart. They know what's going on. We've been running the same plays, for the last 3 years. So it's just like clockwork for them now. And I'm just hoping they can stay healthy and we can get this thing rolling.
And you've got some nice skill players coming back too. One of which, Riley Johnson, 12 touchdown catches last year. Talk to me a little more about not only Riley, but some of the other players we can expect to see maybe on both sides of the football.
Riley Johnson played receiver. You just mentioned him. And then we have Bryce Milne, who's actually played safety for us, and then he played receiver for us also, who had a pretty decent season last year.
All-league defensive back last year.
Right. And he got hurt early this spring. He had a torn meniscus, partial torn meniscus, but he's been rehabbing, so he'll be back probably week 2 or 3. So those two guys will be the guys that's going to help us skill-wise. We had a couple transfers come in that should contribute to our success. That's what we're banking on. But other than that, I think, Riley Johnson, he's going to be a huge help for us this year. And like you mentioned, he scored 12 touchdowns last year, and that's big. And he also was a guy that we didn't have 2 years ago. He played his freshman year, and then sophomore year he didn't play, and then he came out his junior year. So a lot of our guys last year, that was their first year playing varsity football. Mm-hmm. So it was interesting to see how that season turned out. And they just got better every week, and that's our goal, this year coming in is just start fast. Because last year we lost a couple games early. But this year we're hoping to start fast and, keep the train rolling.
And now, running backs, I ran into Mikey Kirkman the other day.
Oh, yeah.
Guy's looking a little bit thinner than he was last year, but he still looks like a pretty big guy.
Yeah.
Talk to me about who you've got running the ball this year.
Michael Kirkman, he's definitely he's a bruiser,
Mm-hmm.
And he slimmed down. He got faster. He worked. He told me himself, Coach, I want to play running back next year. So he worked at it, and he accomplished his goals. He slimmed down. He got faster. His lateral movements quicker, and I'm excited to see him run the ball. I think he's gonna pound a lot of guys, man. He's hard to tackle. When I see him, I look at a college player. Just coming out, seeing him in gear, and just how big he is. I wouldn't want to tackle him. But he's definitely going to be a huge impact on offense and defense for us this year.
So you heard about it on paper, and you're looking at this team, and you're thinking, wow, it's phenomenal looking. But last year you guys were kind of under the radar.
Yeah.
This year you're the team with the target on your back. From a coaching standpoint, do you enjoy that motivation that you can give to the kids, or does it make you nervous? How are you feeling about being?
I'm always nervous.
Yeah?
Even as a player, every game I'm nervous. But that's a good thing. But I expect these guys, to step up to the plate. And what they have to understand is when you are the top dog, or when you're expected to be the top dog, everybody's bringing their A game. Everybody's going to bring their A game. So we have to, elevate our game just a little more to be able to maintain that. And, just this league it's not an easy league. It's not an easy league. There's some great teams in there. And I'm just hoping that we can come out and be successful, with the guys we have.
Now, I want to ask you a little bit, too, about the game coming up tonight.
Yeah.
We talked about you being a Ballard Beaver, and you're an alum. Some of these coaches on the other side there, you know them a little bit. First year for them as head coach. Do we know what to expect from these guys right now? I mean, how are you preparing for this game?
That's a good question.
Yeah.
Normally when you play a team, you've played them last year with the same staff, and you can kind of bring up old film. But this is a new staff, new team, so I can only go off speculation of what they're going to run.
Based on your knowledge of their coaching staff.
Right, based on the knowledge of their coaching staff, that I can only go off that. I haven't asked too many questions because I don't want them asking me questions.
Sure.
So typically the first game is always kind of blind if it's a new opponent. So we typically can kind of figure out which way they're going to move, or their scheme of the game, probably, towards the middle of the first quarter. And, that gap after the first quarter and the second quarter, you kind of get a feel of what's going on. But I have no clue what they're running. I can guess they'll get in some type of spread. I'm hoping they come out in a 4-3, but that's all I got. That's all I got. But that's what makes it interesting, because it's both sides, And I don't know who Ross knows, and he probably knows a lot of coaches. They could have sent him film on us last year.
Sure.
We've modified a lot of things, and I think it's going to be an interesting game.
Should be a lot of fun. And one last question for you, too, before
Yeah.
we go. Give me a quick overview of the league this year, what it looks like. You lose Glacier Peak, you gain Everett and Snohomish. What do you think about Wesco 3A South right now?
Losing Glacier Peak, that didn't help us really, because they gave us two tough opponents. So now we got to play two tough opponents and not just one, But Everett, Coach Trainer is going to get Everett right. We scrimmaged them this year, this spring, and they got some guys over there. Their O-line's big, and they're bringing back a lot of kids. And I've seen a couple of new guys that they had playing receiver in the skill positions that I think will be effective this year for them. And just knowing their coaching staff also, I just know what they're expecting out of their kids. And so I see how their season's going to go. And Snohomish, they were good. They're always going to be good. And so It's a tough league. You know, I don't think there's any walkovers. Each game will be, you know, you have to bring your A game each game to be successful in this division. But you know, you got your Terraces. I mean, Edmond Woodway. They're pretty decent every year. Terrace, we scrimmaged them this year. They got some guys over there that can play football. So each team brings their own dynamics to the league, and I think each week will be interesting and fun to watch.
It's going to be a very exciting season, a lot of fun, and it's kicking off here momentarily. Coach Bankhead, best of luck tonight and all season long. Appreciate having you on here. We're looking forward to seeing Lynnwood versus Ballard coming up here momentarily. You've been watching the Edmonds Community College pregame show.